This is my attempt at a Bannerlord Empire-only world conquest, a challenge where I can only use troops, companions, a wife and equipment from Empire, no affiliation with any other existing kingdoms, no mercenary work or vassalage at all, even for the Empire. We will be working ourselves up from the bottom on our own. Death is enabled, meaning finding an Empire wife and growing a family of heirs is essential, as even our character can die of natural causes. Iron Man mode is on, so any decision or outcome is final. No reloads. The plan. We need to reach Caldaria 4 to be eligible to create our own kingdom and start the world conquest, but to do that, we need renown. The fastest way to grind this is to fight battles at a large disadvantage, winning tournaments, and general warmongering. The only other thing in our way is money. We are going to need a lot of money to keep on top of expenses, peace deals and payments for lords who we want to poach from other kingdoms. I spent a lot of time creating the perfect character. I can never think up good names, so please welcome Maximus Decimus Meridius, father of unborn children, husband to an unmet wife, seeking vengeance, and hopes you are entertained by this video. We started slow with tournaments and looters, and when we got a faster horse and better gear, I decided it was time to take on the desert bandits. These are the easiest of all the bandits, as the foot troops don't have shields and don't throw anything. You just have to be careful with the horsemen. After a couple of successes, I got too confident and ended up going down and becoming a prisoner. This is a small setback, but a setback nonetheless. We bounced back and reached Caldaria 1 after 28 days. We repeat this process until we had 40,000 dinars, 190 riding, 174 bow when we started recruiting companions, and shortly after that, in autumn 1094, we hit Caldaria 2. Now that we're established, it's time to start going town to town recruiting. We also started the smithing grind and soon hit 100 smithing and can craft 10,000 dinar weapons reliably. As we grow, we move on from small bands of bandits and start hunting minor clans for better XP for us and our troops. In summer 1085, we bought 4 workshops, hit trade 125 and chose the artisan community perk that will net 1 renown per day for each workshop that's making money, and made it to tournament master, which also brings in 1 renown per day, so we can passively earn up to 5 renown per day. This contributed to us reaching Caldaria 3 the same month. As we are now approaching Caldaria 4, I will be on the lookout for rebel towns to take to get an even bigger head start. We could take on a weakened factions town, but we don't have access to the kingdom panel yet and won't be able to pay for peace, which would mean certain death. Now we are finally treated as a noble and can enter castles without needing to bribe guards. We start looking for captured nobles to break out for relationship gain, so it's easier to recruit that clan later on. We see out the month by meeting Debana. We spoke about leadership, valor and charm and got married soon after. In summer 1096, 2 years in, we reached our first 1 million, and to celebrate, Debana fell pregnant. Back in the field, 2 consecutive couch lances nearly killed me, but we still won the battle, and Debana actually had twins straight after. We are now 2.5 years in, and our income isn't quite where I want it to be, but we reach Caldaria 4 and see the perfect target to start our own kingdom, Varsheg. Taken from Sturgia by the Battanians, just turned into a rebel town. After forgetting to buy all the food, we initiate war, starve out the garrison, and start the siege in an assault and actually manage to take it with only 1 troop getting wounded. In winter 1087, 3.5 years into the run, we start our own kingdom. We shall name it New Empire. We have a lot of options open to us now that we own property. We have been limited to our party capacity up until this point, but can now build up a larger force and stock them in our new town's garrison as reserves to use later on in an actual war where we need to replenish the fallen. Sturgia have suffered with relentless war, so we join in to speed up our own troop training. Not too sure what I was thinking, but I decided to immediately take a second town, the Sturgian Revel. It was an easy win after starving out the garrison, but this turned out to be the first of a series of irreversible mistakes, as I was just not ready in terms of troop numbers, finances, and I couldn't recruit nearby, as Empire towns and villages were a full day's march away, and I was stuck defending my weak towns from other nations that I didn't want to pay tribute to. The war picked up fast and our first large battle occurred, a 452 versus 368, which we won, and while we were staying at Revel, 720 Sturgians started siege preparations. We were fearing the worst, but amazingly the forest people, who made up almost 300 of this large force, ended their contract with Sturgia and signed one with Western Empire. meaning they aren't at war with us and just walked off, leaving their former comrades at a numerical disadvantage. Fearing that our own troops couldn't defend their own towns, I decided to take Ustakol Castle, so that we now own the entire corner and cannot be surrounded. This strategy came at the cost of now being spread very thin. Sturgia, war-torn at the hands of the Battanians, Western Empire, the Khuzate, and on the brink of collapse, is reduced to its final town. Wanting our new land for themselves, the Battanians, who had declared war on us, are too much of a threat. We are in no state to wage a war on a stable faction that has 4 times the men we do, so we agreed to 4,900 a day to keep peace. Our original plan was to first take Empire land. One of the mechanics in Bannerlord is settlement loyalty. Foreign castles and towns get a -3 loyalty per day, increasing the risk of rebellion. We are playing as a character with an Empire heritage and will not get this issue with property belonging to Empire. We have not taken one yet, as opportunity presented itself first in Sturgia, but now, in winter 1088, Western Empire declare war on us, opening the invitation to take land from them. With 550 men, we marched for Epicrotia. The plan was to starve them out to make it easier, but we suddenly got enveloped by 2 armies totaling 1,100, so sacked the town before they could reach us. I should have commanded the battle better, as I had knocked one wall down, but should have removed the siege tower and battering ram before the attack and told everyone to charge through this hole, as the split troops and relying on AI cost 150 dead and we went down, but we still won the town. The 2 armies that combined 1,100 launched an attack on our new Epicrotia's 450 defenders. We took down 600, but they regrouped and launched a second assault, 395 versus 937. This time we killed 59 and wounded 274. It's frustrating that they will heal back up, and sure enough, the third siege of 380 versus 722 starts. We win and kill 355 but lose 112 of our own, so decide to make peace with Western Empire and Northern Empire, who randomly decided to start a war. Our daily tributes are now over 10,000 a day. I decided to keep the war with Sturgia to help speed up training, as we need to focus on recruitment if we are to stand a chance in the real wars. We are upsetting too many people. Thanks to all this though, we hit Clentia 5 in the spring of 1089. We then came across some Sturgian lords and defeated them in the field, one of which was the leader of the Vizoving, who we have met before, and managed to convince him and his clan to join the new empire for 78,000 dinars, and Oleg of the Kuloving for 48,000 dinars. We now have less than 1 million. We have been at war with Sturgia for 123 days and have grown to 3,200 men. To stop them raiding and picking on our caravans, I declared peace so we can concentrate on the imperial lands. Winter 1089. Battania are stretched thin, and after declaring war, we easily take Amitatis, Thoros Castle and Hertagia Castle, all before the turn of the year. In the spring, Varsheg is attacked and we rush to help. It's a large army of 1,183. I thought we would do better in a siege defense than in the field, as with the garrison plus militia, we would be defending with 1,166, so we decide to wait for the siege to start and then join in the assault, costing 80 troops. This is 1/5 of the total force of Battania, so I thought it was worth it. The first assault was easily repelled, but as most of the casualties were from mangonels, only 48 Battanians died. The 229 wounded would get back up to fight in the next round, so we sallied out in a 777 versus 1,000, but this was a catastrophic mistake. We lost the battle and our army broke. We were now a prisoner with nothing. When we escaped, I reluctantly sued for peace to save the continuing siege on Varsheg. This was such a devastating setback, as I had lost all my crafting materials, so have no way of making any real money. We will have to start grinding again, but with cash quickly running out from the peace deals, I'd have to think up something fast. The real effects of the Varsheg massacre came later that year, in winter 1090. While still trying to build up our forces far away from our properties, having emptied my garrisons of all my elite troops, and wars breaking out, we lose Varsheg and Hertagia Castle. In spring 1091, the treasury is reduced to 0. We do, however, successfully defend Revel and took an emptied Varsheg back. To help lessen the threat of Battania around our properties, we took Cranarog Castle but lost a companion in the process. Rest in peace, L'Erosion the Boar. We are at minus 3,000 dinars debt and lost Varsheg again, but made a slight comeback defending Amitatis, then took Poros, Lucaron, Donistica and Vostrum. While taking Shabal Zuma Castle, another companion died, Oshivos the Butcher. We have been pushing the Southern Empire back, but they are willing to pay us tribute. To help reduce our increasing debt, we swapped wars and now our focus is Western Empire. Daily tribute is down to 1,300 a day. Retaking Lycaron, we lost a third companion, Andrasa the Dispossessed. Death being enabled is wearing down my limited companions at an alarming rate. The problem with switching enemies is that now we are facing a fresh kingdom. While sieging Zionica, I was trying to crack the walls as we were slightly outnumbered, but then two armies amassing almost 1,000 forced us to march early. We ended up going down. It was 1-1, but we ended up losing. And while wounded, my options were to send 51 against 104, or retreat disorganized with a large speed penalty, and with a fresh 1,000 troops waiting to catch me, my only option was to auto-resolve. I was not feeling confident, and I needed my luck to turn, but we actually won it, and feeling immensely proud, I watched the hungry 1,000 march away. We reached Clan Tier 6 in spring 1093, and the next few years are spent slowly making mediocre victories, gaining a few castles here and there, and retaking lost ones. It took everything I owned, but I had a nice idea to buy my wife's family, the Mestrikaros, over to my faction, or we would have to eventually face each other in battle. Then I helped my father-in-law take Mekalovia Castle. We are now a force to be reckoned with, almost 1,000 top-tier troops in my clan army, but even that isn't enough to escape death as we lose another companion, Festos of the Hills. We have been in debt for over 3 years and have paid the Northern Empire 1 million. Angered, I declare war, while they are weakened by simultaneous wars with the Khuzait, Vlandia and Britannia. You can see that Vlandia, Aserai and the Northern Empire are the superpowers on the map, and we have established ourselves among them. I discovered a convenient wall climb at Melian Castle, but couldn't do much as I had very low health. We did end up going down, but won the castle, and I took out 1,000 Northern Empire troops with us. On 21st Autumn 1094, and after 3.5 long years, we are now debt-free and finally making money. Our luck begins to change. We have had some fantastic victories and took Western Empire off the map by taking their last town, Belgard, and my wife gave birth to our 4th child. We recruit our next vassal, the Seradoses. Looking at the map, Western Empire no longer exists. Sturgia and Khuzait are hanging on by a thread. We will spend the next year focusing on smithing to fund the wars if we are hoping to topple the imposing Vlandians and the Aserai. It is autumn 1095, and we have our first million since being debt-free. The Aserai took Onira, but rebels took it soon after, so we took that as a war-free opportunity and took it back off them. I was looking at Vlandia as a war target, as I have potential wars on both fronts, and would only have to look east if we were to succeed. I was about to siege Sinopia and start the war when 2 armies totaling 2.3 thousand men came into view. Vlandia is obviously too well armed to take on for now. To focus on Empire culture towns and castles, I decided to start a war with Aserai, who occupy several of them. I wanted to take properties west to east, but their strength seemed to be in the east as they were attacking my villages and assaulted Donistica. So I broke the siege of Legetta and ran to help. It was a 3-day march, but I made it just in time. Siege in progress. The next month, Aserai took Onira while we were away. We took it back, but army after army came and took it again. We kept this up until we wore Aserai down enough to be able to advance. We have the 50% reduced chance for prisoner escape riding perk, and are keeping enemy lords to reduce the recovery time in the hopes for a quicker advance and a shorter war. We had a huge field victory when we met 720 Aserai and fought them off with our 868. We took out 715 off the map, while they killed only 19 of ours. Our vassals want peace with Aserai, but I say no, we continue to push. By winter 1096, we have 38 Aserai prisoners. This is the point I decide not to use the crafted weapon and the Black Heart axe I've been using. The whole point of this video is Empire equipment only. I intend to play as all the factions at some point and would end up with this exact combination for every playthrough. I will switch to Fine Steel Pomeranian and Manavlian, just like my companions. These new weapons are classified as one-handed and a polearm, and this entire time I've been using two-handed weapons only, so my skill levels are almost zero, only getting experience from the tournaments we did. There will be a large ability drop for our character until I level them up. With the help of two of my kingdom's armies, I fight in the biggest battle of the campaign so far, a 1,524 versus 1,104. So big that I had to face away from the melee because I dropped frames and at one point the game crashed. The next 3 years are spent steamrolling Aserai towns and castles, and after 305 days of war in summer 1099, Aserai are no more. The next year is spent taking towns and castles from the non-existent Cusate and Sturgeons while we regroup and prepare for the next conquest. Spring 1100 arrives, the year Strat Gaming's 16-year world conquest speedrun finished, until we realise that we have paid Vlandia 5 million in tribute and decide that it's time to square up to Edurand, ruler of Vlandia. Death that died of natural causes 3 years prior in 1097. We have hit scouting 225. I should have got this sooner, but I tried to get a companion to do this so I didn't have to spend the attribute points, but I couldn't level them quick enough. But now there is a 0% chance for enemy lords escaping, making future wars much easier. We only need to defeat a lord once, no resupplying or recovery. We take a few castles, and even one of my vassals, Olek, takes one. We find King Edurand alone in the field, so strike him down and take him prisoner, where he will remain. Northern Empire decide to engage in war with us, but we will not turn back. We will continue to push Vlandia, and if we are to lose land, then we'll just double back on whatever we lost. We marched to take back Legetta. There were over 2,000 troops inside, but I thought I could just fire mangonel most of them out of the way before we charge, no problem. Eyes bulging with imagined corpses, I didn't realise them leave just before I reached the gate, so I had to deal with a 1-to-2 ratio battle where I had 1,071 against their 2,005. It was the biggest battle of the campaign and a staggering victory. 1,156 killed and only 91 of ours died. It surely was the Agincourt of Caldaria. After this, Vlandia have half the troops they started the war with, and it's not even been a year. In spring 1101, 70 days into the war, we see 61 Vlandian lords as prisoner in our army, and 11 towns and castles gained. Olek has taken 2 castles as well as Varsheg. Our vassals are definitely putting the work in. That winter, I recruited my last lord into the Kingdom of New Empire, the Vlandian Berican de Rothad, who even came with a castle. We have left a skeleton crew to man our new castles, but anyone taking them are being swallowed up by our vassals close behind. We can focus on pushing forward while they clean up behind us. This isn't something you can control, the AI are just having a good initiative moment. Our army has become so large that I've had to play with the performance settings, as frame drops mean I cannot help in battle without it looking like a PowerPoint and being unable to time attack and blocks properly. Vlandia is down to less than 10% of what they started with troop-wise, and we have 84 noble prisoners. We are in a world war at the moment, but our focus is to extinguish Vlandia. Everything else can wait. After conquering most of the west, we take the 2 rebel towns and Western Empire's castle before eradicating Vlandia from their homeland. I restock my companions and my own party with top-tier troops and start to push Northern Empire. The war with them started 107 days ago, but this is the real start. We take the last castle from the Cusate, which happened to be an old Sturgia, so release 26 prisoners and sign a peace treaty. While we are pushing the Northern Empire, our allies take the last Vlandian town, Odok, and that is the end of Vlandia. 41,000 casualties inflicted and almost 0 total strength. Do we have all their lords? We sold 88 of them for a meager 28,000 dinars. The next few months we take Northern Empire off the map and sell the 30 lords we captured, including 15 rebel clan members we held onto, for 33,000. Southern Empire, who have only been mentioned a handful of times this video, have taken a castle, but it's just 2 rebel towns to deal with now. For the nostalgia, we do one last prison break that absolutely fails and end up killing Desporian, leader of the Lonalian. We take the last of the Southern Empire off the map, but now must tend to the Northern Empire who have just taken a castle. Summer 1104. the day we took the last of the rebel towns and therefore taken all 120 fiefs. The continent is united under the banner of New Empire. There's only one thing to do: disband the clan army after 2 decades of companionship.
In review, my biggest mistake was claiming the first towns in Sturgia. I should have waited even for an extra year and seek an Empire town with recruits nearby. If there was trouble, I wouldn't be more than a few hours away. I was unable to replenish any fallen troops, let alone build them up. Being able to stockpile troops in a garrison wasn't worth all this. I'm annoyed I used non-Empire weapons for so long. It completely messed my character build and there were some really good perks I could have been taking advantage of. I wasn't too impressed with the workshops. They were supposed to be an early game passive renown maker, but I only bought them when we were virtually clan tier 4 already. They didn't make any difference financially and I lost a few due to wars. Next time I think a better idea would be to go with caravans. At least that way my companions can be leveling up their party skills at the same time. I'm still happy with this run. This is the first time I've ever completed a world conquest and I'm surprised our main character didn't die. Maximus turned 70 the year he retired, and I've still never played long enough for children to become adults. I really hope you enjoyed this video. This was my first ever big video and I've learnt a lot. I'm keen to do it all again for the other factions, so I'll see you in the next one.